Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Coach's Corner. I'm Eric Mosley and I'm joined by Coach Chapman. And Coach, let's get right to it. A tough week against Clear Fork last week. What are your initial impressions of that game?
Like you said, it was a tough week, and that's about all we can say about it. Just they outplayed us from start to finish.
And obviously Clear Fork, one of those teams in the league that's competing for a league title. Did you kind of feel like going into that game the team was as prepared as they could possibly be, and it just was a matter of running into just a really good team?
Yes, they did not do anything that we weren't prepared for. Our attention to detail was off and on the whole game. When we did what we were supposed to do, what we've been coached to do, we had success. And when we didn't, you saw what happened.
Now, a lot of things that happened in that game, but one thing, a big touchdown return on a kickoff. Is that something that has kind of been near breaking each game? We had some pretty good returns all season, and you're finally able to break one?
Yes. Watching film, you can see we're 1 or 2 blocks away each time, and just seeing that last Friday, it all clicked, and we saw what could happen.
So going into this game, you guys knew that a defense that they have is just really tough. Was there anything that you guys out of that game felt like you did relatively well on offense?
Yeah, I felt like our outside getting that to our receivers or skilled guys, when we got it to them, we were able to make things happen. Like I said before, things we practiced and we showed our offense is things they saw in the game. It just comes to the details of staying on blocks, blocking for guys running, things like that. So,
who do you feel like kind of stood out for the team this week on offense?
I actually say Caden Fags, sophomore who has stepped into a role and has flourished at each game that he's been in that position.
And what about on the defense? Was there anybody that had a relatively good defensive game?
Up front, I would say Q, Mr. Bradley, unstoppable, unblockable, seems to get in the backfield all the time. Then you have Torrey Taylor with the interception and things like that. So those are guys who stood out on defense.
So, the season has been up and down, but you're going into Week 10 with an opportunity to win. Where do you think this team is at this point in the season as opposed to where you thought they would be at this point?
Obviously, early in the season, you're thinking this point we are playing for a spot in the playoffs, you would hope. Mm-hmm. We're not doing that, but I feel where we are right now as a team, a staff, is we're doing this one for the seniors. We're leaving all out on the field, and it gives us something to build on going into the offseason.
Where do you feel like this team has grown the most this season?
That's a good question. Where we've grown the most, I would have to say, just as a unit, as one team. Years before, you would have different divisions within the locker room, things like that. But I think just from the beginning to now, we've grown closer as a team.
And this is the last week of practice, so you had one day of practice, you got your second day today. How's the attitude been coming into today?
Nothing changed. We told them from the beginning we were guaranteed 10 games. We wanted more, but circumstances, situations didn't pan out that way. But we're guaranteed 10. This is our 10th one. We're practicing as usual. We're not letting up on anybody for small things or anything like that.
All right, well, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll go over some of the highlights from the Clear Fork game. You are watching Coach's Corner.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Haven't seen you around before. Are you new in the neighborhood?
Yeah. Haven't you heard about the new state law on yard waste bags?
No, I guess not.
Well, if yard waste is set out by the curb for pickup, state law requires residents to use a compostable bag, like me, or a large paper bag, or a hauler-provided cart. Plastic bags like you are now banned from curbside pickup. This is the other new bag in the neighborhood.
Hi guys, what's shaking?
Hey there, welcome.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner, and we're still joined by Coach Chapman, and let's go ahead and go over some of the highlights.
All righty, let's do it. All right, quick pass from Brady Wink to Caden Fags here. Big play for us, like I said before. He had a huge day for us, even though it was what it was. Huge stop here by the Harding defense. And then we talked about this earlier about kickoffs. I feel this one was just the tipping point for errors when it came to kickoffs. Just almost broke this one, but good things were to come. Then another pass to Caden Fags. Good blocks out there. And when you get this guy in space, he can make people miss with his speed. And come back to him. Now a little jet sweep to Caden Fags. And when you get good blocks, speed, down the sideline, first touchdown on the varsity year for him. Another defensive stop. We talked about it, good things to come. This one here, I believe this was the good one. We talked about the blocks, and when you get errors in space, this is what he can do. Here we got another Harding defensive stop here. Guys defended a screen real well there. Talked about a kid here who did his job, came up. Nice interception by Torrey Taylor. And we've seen this all year when you punt to this guy. You give him space, he'll make people miss.
So really, this week, special teams played a big role in the success that the team had. Is that, sometimes that can be forgotten. The offenses put up big numbers and the defenses have stops, but special teams has been something that's kind of grown for you guys as the season's gone on.
Yes, it is another unit of when it comes to the facets of the game, and you have to practice those just like you do offense and defense.
And one thing that you notice in those highlights, especially with the defense, the interior defense seems to do a pretty good job of stunning, getting through. Is that something that has improved as the season's gone on, or has that just been a strength all year?
It's been a strength all year, but as you practice and you start getting comfortable in your position, those things start to come on a regular.
And I know that the quarterback for Clear Fork had a pretty big game. The teams that have played Harding this year, Harding likes to press coverage a lot. So it's kind of go all in, and if there's even one mistake made, it could be big. Do you feel like that kind of taking chances on the defense still is really strong, the way to go, and the kids are pretty confident with it?
Well, it goes back to attention to detail. a lot of the big plays that you saw last week and throughout the season, it wasn't because of the coverage or anything like that. It was our own doing. Being out of position, not reading your keys. Those things result in us having those big plays against us.
Do you think that sometimes, and again, I feel like Harding plays a very aggressive defense, and I love it. But do you feel like sometimes it can cause a player to just be a little bit out of control, and it's you find that you're just coaching the guys to, hey, just stay under control and think about what you're doing, because it is an aggressive defense.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. I think just the under control part is what every team faces. It's like it goes back to that attention to detail. You watch film, you practice. That should slow everything down. And when you start peeking or false reads that you're seeing, that affects what is out there.
And then on offense, obviously Brady's had a good season for you guys so far, and a lot of the pass plays have been to the outside into the perimeter. It's not always easy to make those throws because you never know what the defense is going to do. Has he done a good job of being able to read the defenses and understand what he's looking at?
Yes, and that goes with coaching and everything. Started a year, we had another quarterback. Brady stepped up when his time was called, and he's grown as our offense has grown. When we see Brady struggle, it's not him. There's other aspects of it. The O-line has to block. Receivers have to run the routes right, catch the ball. So it's a whole team effort. And yes, when he is playing good, we seem to all be on that same key playing good. So.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and take another break, and when we come back, we'll have some player interviews. You are watching Coach's Corner. Welcome back to Coach's Corner, and right now I'm joined by Jemiah Capdeville and Jacob Arndt. And guys, it's been that kind of season, just been kind of up and down. But Jemiah, I'll start with you. It's not right where you wanted it to be, but how has this senior season been for you?
I think it's going good besides our record, but we definitely made a lot of progress from last year. Just got to get more wins next year.
Okay. And Jacob, this is your first year starting?
Yeah.
And you're starting at linebacker. What's it been like for you this first season?
It's been rough with the wins, but I definitely feel like it's going in the right path for the future.
Okay. Do you play middle linebacker or outside?
Middle.
Middle. Okay. So, as middle linebacker, you're almost like, the focal point of the defense. You're the one that kind of sees everything first. So what is it about playing that middle linebacker position that just makes it that much more fun?
You really get to be hands-on with people every play and take it to people in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Jemiah, we've seen a lot of times this season, when you get the ball, some exciting things can happen. What do you do out there to try to get some separation on your coverages?
I try to run the best routes I can because I feel like if you don't run a good route, you'll never get open.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the most important thing to me.
Do you are you one of those receivers that kind of doesn't like the fact if a guy's playing handsy, or are you like, come on, bring it, let's go, I'll get a pass reception every time?
I like to take the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I like to show people that I'm better than them.
Yeah. So are you more reliant on like that first move speed wise, or you just try to take it play by play and see what the coverage is?
I feel like I'm faster than most people that line up against me, so I usually try to rely on my speed.
Okay. Jacob, what is the hardest thing about playing linebacker for you?
Definitely getting to my pass route.
Mm-hmm.
Struggle with passing teams a lot.
Kind of, if they especially play action, is that when it
Yeah.
kind of causes problems? I get it because I played linebacker too. That first move, if you think it's a handoff, you just want to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can forget. Have you ever had an interception, though?
No.
Wait until that happens. It's fun. So, guys, you got one more game left on the season. And, Ontario is a game that's definitely, they're not a terrible team. They haven't won a game in the league yet. What do you feel like you got to do this week? Last home game for the seniors. What do you got to do to bring home this win?
We're just gonna work hard all week because we gotta end up strong, finish on a win this year.
Mm-hmm. And then, Jacob, you want to take these seniors out on top. Is that going to be kind of the goal this week?
Yeah, for sure. Start next year on a positive note from the win this year.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. We'll go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get some more comments and see the next game against Ontario, see how that shapes up. You're watching Coach's Corner. Welcome back to Coach's Corner, and we're joined again by Coach Chapman. And this week, ending the season at home against Ontario. Tell us a little bit about Ontario, what you can expect with them.
We're going to expect a scrappy team. Like you said earlier, talking with the players, they haven't won a game in the conference, and they're looking at our record and what we've done and thinking this is a game they could win. So I'm thinking they're going to come in and give us everything they got. Offensively, they kind of like us try to spread, get their athletes in space. Defensively, they're going to try to man up and focus more on the run. So that's what we can expect.
So, you've done a good job all season kind of mixing the pass and the run. And I don't think a lot of teams can look at Harding and say, well, they're a run-first team or pass-first team. Mm-hmm. You got to feel like that kind of plays into your advantage in every game, especially this week.
Yes. We pride ourselves on being balanced. Even though we're 3-4 receivers out there, we still love to run the ball. Getting the ball in our playmakers' hands is what we want to do. So it's good to do that.
And obviously this last game not only kind of is the footnote on a season, but it kind of can start what you're going to build for the next season. You talk a little bit about this year using a lot of the youth on this team, having them step up, and where you feel like that future's headed.
Oh, I feel like the future is headed in the right direction. We've relied a lot on our youth. From the offensive side, since I'm an offensive coach, we started 6 sophomores on offense that are contributing this year, where we're running into teams that you can tell have seniors that have been in the program, different things like that. Same on defense. You just saw Jacob Arndt, one of our linebackers, who's a sophomore, first-year starter, but is contributing this year. So ending this season off in the right direction with a win will catapult us into the off season, into the workouts and everything. So leading us in the right direction.
So, I know next week I'll talk about this with Coach Slater, but you've been through the whole season. What are your memories so far this season that kind of just stick with you in a good way, obviously, and what have you really enjoyed about this season?
Players may laugh when I say this, but I've enjoyed the players, watching them grow from off season to now. You can see they have more confidence in what they're doing. Memories I'm going to take from the season. Obviously, the win against Pleasant. The growth, the fun watching some of those sophomores and first-year starters going out there and under the big lights for the first time, watching them perform, and then being from Mansfield, being able to go over there and beat up on Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Those are memories I'll take.
And then those young kids that have been playing, like you said, walking out there in Harding Stadium the first time and seeing those big lights, it's kind of feel like they came in as boys, but they're leaving as men.
Yes, especially that senior class. For me, they were freshmen when I first got here, and to see how they've grown to their seniors and having them watch them walk with their parents one last time throughout the stadium, it's going to be real special.
Nice. Well, hopefully this week you can end the season on a big win. Good luck, Coach, and congratulations just on everything that's been accomplished this season. And I feel like it's a great chance this week for Harding to end on a W.
Yes.
All right, this is it for this week's edition of Coach's Corner. Join us again next week. Make sure you go out to Harding this Friday and check out the last home game against Ontario.